After 8 Navy veterans were given death penalty in Qatar, now shocked India will be contesting Qatar's order. But what really are India's legal options? Because remember, this also involves international law. The big question is, can India appeal Qatar's death penalty order? What are the provisions in terms of the judicial structure in Qatar? We'll explore all of those questions at this hour with our special guest, R. Sundaram, a senior lawyer of the Supreme Court and also an eminent jurist. Many thanks for speaking to NDTV. My first question to you, Qatar's death penalty or capital punishment to 8 Navy veterans has really shocked India. But what really are the legal options or legal remedies available before India?
Look, I think we have to get some facts right here before we even discuss this issue. Number one, they are not serving naval officers.
Right.
They are ex-naval officers. Number two, they are working with a foreign private defense contractor as, private citizens. Number three, they were caught allegedly for espionage or Israel. If you see this whole circuit, India doesn't come into the picture at all, except for the fact that they are Indian citizens. So it's not a matter where the Ministry of Defense, MOD, has any role to play, because it's not any serving naval officer. They're private citizens, no different than you or me. It's like if one of us went abroad, joined a foreign company, worked for the foreign company in a foreign country, right, and committed a crime according to that country, against the laws of that country, then you are no different in position other than the persons concerned. Right. Now, whether they have been rightly tried, rightly convicted, otherwise, we cannot say, because none of us even has access to what the judgment is in this case. Right. All we know is that they were tried for espionage, not espionage for India, espionage for Israel.
Right, and as you said, there's very little clarity. There's very little clarity on what the order is.
But I think this much clarity is there, right, that they were tried for espionage. They worked for a defense contractor of the Qatar government not as Indian deputed people, but as private citizens, right, ex-naval officers. And number three, it is said that the espionage was on behalf of Israel.
Right, that is also
Therefore,
something that
India has no role to play in this, except what they would do for any private Indian citizen who has gone abroad and has been convicted in that country and is being given a death sentence. As I'm sure, if an American came to India, worked in an Indian company, or let me put it the other way, a Qatari came to India, worked in an Indian company, committed what India claims was a crime in India, and was convicted by an Indian court, what is the role of Qatar? So India can at best use diplomatic offices, number one. Number two, India has a duty as a country to assist every citizen to get fair justice wherever he is. And for that purpose, giving consular access and other things are part of the international treaties, and those will have to be strictly followed.
Right. So very important point made there by you that India can, in a sense, create pressure diplomatically as well. But coming back to the legal aspect of it, break it down for our viewers. As far as Qatar is concerned, what is the judicial structure there, and where does the international law come into play? Because of course, the international law also says that death penalty must be awarded only in extraordinary circumstances and not in ordinary cases.
Well, what is an extraordinary circumstance will vary. Most countries have abolished the death sentence. India has not. In fact, when we wanted Abu Salem to be extradited from Portugal back to India, one of the reasons Portugal was not willing to extradite him was that in Portugal there is no death penalty. Right. Whereas in India there's a death penalty. Right. So in effect, the government of India gave an assurance that he will not be given a death sentence. So in this case, the awarding of a death penalty both is in Qatar, the awarding of a death penalty is in India. In India, we say we give it in the rarest of rare cases. Now, Qatar may feel that espionage, spying against the integrity of Qatar, against the interest of the country, is a matter warranting the death sentence. So these go into local domestic laws. But the point to answer your question, yes, we are very concerned that an Indian citizen has been given a death sentence. We are concerned as to whether there was a fair trial. We are concerned as to whether a correct procedure was adopted. And we are concerned as to whether the sentence was commensurate with the alleged offense committed. Now, all these concerns, like I said, we can do diplomatically, voice it
So
diplomatically.
can India appeal this particular order in the higher court?
I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
So far as the appeal to the higher court is concerned, the appeal will have to be by the convicted people.
Right.
They have to appeal their death sentence. Same as I said, if a foreign citizen came to India and committed a crime according to the Indian courts, was found guilty, the person would have to file the appeal. It's not the United States of America, but the person who has been convicted.
Right.
So here too, the persons convicted have to file an appeal.
That's
I've
an
heard a
important
lot
point.
I've heard a lot said about going to the ICJ. Now that situation arises when the laws which are Committee of Nations treaties which require a fair trial, which require access to consular services, which require access to lawyers, which
Right.
require an open and fair trial in these matters where natural justice is followed. Now, if India finds that one of those has been violated, yes, then one can take the case to the International Court of Justice.
And take
like we did
cues
earlier
from
with
that.
regard
Very
to
quickly,
the
we were touching upon the agreements as far as India is concerned. India has several agreements with, with foreign countries as far as the transfer of sentenced persons is concerned. How significant is that agreement? What is India's deal when it comes to, Indian nationals in jails abroad?
Well, extradition, as those extradition treaties are a bit different. The extradition treaties are that if a person has committed a crime in, let's say, India, and has gone outside the country, like we've had with the Nirav Modi issue going to England, we've had all that. We can, applying the extradition treaty, ask that that person is brought back to our country, to India, to be punished under Indian law. Why? Because the crime was committed in India, not abroad, and we ask that country, please send him back to face trial. Extradition is not that we say, look here, he committed a crime in your country, your courts have sentenced him, send him back to India. He has not committed any crime in India. For an Indian court to try him. This is a pure case of them having to appeal it as per the domestic law in Qatar, but if natural justice is offended, if access to consular help is not given, if access to lawyers is not given, if a procedure known to law by international treaties is not followed, India can take this matter up to the International Court of Justice.
Right, Mr. Arvind.
And that's
thanks
all
so
I
much
see
for joining
other than
us with that
diplomatic.
perspective there. And as you also said, very importantly, that there are various channels through which India can actually challenge this particular order. Of course, the diplomatic channel is something which is very important.
Yes.
India has said that it's monitoring the situation of Indian foreign nationals in jail very, very closely. Thanks, Mr. Arvind Sundaram, for joining us.
Thank you.